Welcome to the Best of the Monty Show 2023, presented by our friends at soundsleepmedical.com. Before we get into it, I want to remind you, there's a big difference between snoring and sleep apnea. Every night in this country, people go to bed with sleep apnea and they never wake up because it stops you from breathing. You know, if you have sleep apnea and you wake up and you're, or your spouse wakes you up because you're snoring loudly and gasping for air, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. You don't have to sleep away from your wife or your husband. All you have to do is get to soundsleepmedical.com/Monty and sign up for their free sleep evaluation. No embarrassment. It's completely discreet. What they're going to do is tell you, hey, are you just somebody who snores or do you have sleep apnea? In any case, they're going to fit you for a custom mouthpiece that's going to move your lower jaw forward, clearing your airway so you can get that sleep you need. I'm begging you, do it right now, don't delay. Sleep apnea kills Americans every single night. Don't be the next one. Get to soundsleepmedical.com.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
The Monty Show.
Boy, another crazy day in expansion. The ACC expanding again. Are Stanford and Cal really ACC expansion candidates? And I would tell you, absolutely they are. And I want to get right to work on this because tomorrow could be another one of those days, specifically in the ACC, where we're looking at a situation where we are going to get a vote tabled in the ACC tomorrow, according to sources close to the show. The ACC is looking at voting, and not just a straw poll this time, a legitimate vote about adding Stanford and Cal to the conference. And this is going to have wide-ranging impact across the landscape of college football, because let's not forget, this isn't just about the ACC. This is 4 conferences deep. You have the ACC, the remnants of the Pac-12, the AAC, and the Mountain West. And the Mountain West started this process 2 weeks ago in the driver's seat with almost a rubber stamp approval from the remaining 4, and that's never come to fruition in any way, shape, or form. We went through the ACC process, no ACC expansion. Not close, there was never a vote. We were telling you that Miami, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson were standing in the way, refusing to be part and parcel to ACC expansion. Well, we're going to find out tomorrow again, because sources close to the situation tell us that there has been significant lobbying activities over the last 4 days, and that, in fact, there will be a conference call tomorrow where a vote in the ACC about ACC expansion will be taken for Stanford and Cal. I have not, and I want to clarify this, I have not one time been told that SMU is going to get a vote tomorrow in the ACC. I am told that vote will specifically point to Stanford and Cal joining the ACC and ACC expansion. Jake, do you believe it actually happens this time?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely momentum, in the conversation, but I'm not in a place where I actually believe that it happens. I think that, there's still a lot of hurdles in this process. There's still a lot of questions that remain about, whether it's the travel thing, right, which seems to be what everyone wants to talk about. But, whether it's that or whether it's, hey, are we just going to travel to the East Coast for, football and basketball, and then maybe our Olympic sports stay regional or something? Like, there's all these complicated questions that come with joining a conference that's across the country on the other coast. And so I look at this and I say, Stanford's a damn good athletic program, obviously really well run, obviously has a lot of value that way. And I'm just curious, what the philosophy is moving forward if you were to join the ACC, because obviously, having to travel a lot, there's the whole conversation about what that does to a student athlete, and we can have that conversation. But I think right now, what you're really considering, if you're the president, the athletic director, or hell, even the chancellor, and you're looking at this opportunity, you're really trying to consider, okay, well, what is the P&L sheet look like if we join the ACC? I mean, what exactly are we going to have to do to make sure that we stay in a good place financially in our athletic program? Because you look at the major difference, the one slap you in the face difference between Stanford and Cal is money. right? Cal is in massive debt through renovation of their football stadium and otherwise, whereas Stanford is in a good place. So to me, if I'm Stanford, I'm not going to do anything that really has huge risk. Obviously, moving conferences has risk all the way around, even if it's the Mountain West, right? The Mountain West is just straight up less money. That's why they don't want to do that. But the problem is your next best option is clear across the country with a ton of travel implication, which means a lot of money implications. So that's why I say I'm not believing that this is actually going to happen, but I do think that there's momentum in the conversation. People feel more positively about it. So that's why I think you're seeing a vote, because people want to really have a test about where everyone in the conference is at on this topic. And I just think that Stanford is in a place where they need a home, and they understand that, and they got to do something about it.
Well, and I think The Athletic has done a spectacular job reporting on this. Stuart Mandel, Nicole Auerbach, like their entire college football staff has been really good on the particular angle of the Pac-12 collapsed. What's next for Stanford and Cal? Mm-hmm. And I think one of the questions that The Athletic hasn't answered yet is who in the ACC is holding up expansion. I believe our sources have been very correct on the fact that Miami's that other team that nobody in the ACC wants to talk about. Miami does not want expansion. I can tell you right now, Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina do not want expansion, because if you bring in Stanford and Cal, I think it's more difficult to break the ACC grants of rights, whether that is right now, whether that's in 5 years, at any time before 2036.
Seriously.
Which is ridiculous again. But, hey, this is the bed you made. Enjoy lying in it. But I think that's one of the biggest factors in ACC expansion and why I don't believe this is going to happen. Because if we are really believing that Stanford and Cal are getting into the ACC, I think there's a couple of things at play as it was described to me. I was told the politics of Stanford and Cal are simply unwanted in the ACC. And I think we have these, and it's not a conversation I want to have on this show, please, but we have a political climate in this country where California is viewed as those goddamn liberals out there on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that in the ACC. And there's a lot of membership in the ACC, as it was told to me this morning, that don't want to deal with the geopolitical situation in Stanford and Cal. And I have to tell you, I think that makes a lot of sense, because you're going to bring in Stanford and Cal. And if you believe for a moment that 5 years from right now, Stanford's not going to have considerable sway in the ACC if you let them in, I think you're crazy. Because the one thing that Stanford is not going to be influenced by is your money. They don't want your money. They're going to take your money. They don't need your money. So their decision is not going to be swayed by your money. And whether it is that they take a $10 million payment and the rest goes equally divided to the rest of the ACC membership, great. Whatever it is, Stanford doesn't care, because they have over $1 billion sports endowment.
Yeah.
$1 billion endowed to sports alone at Stanford. They don't care, and they don't need your money. Mm-hmm. And I think that scares the Florida States, the Clemsons, the Carolinas, the Miamis of the world. Those are the 4 universities in the ACC who are in lockstep that they don't want the ACC to expand. So somehow, some way, between really what was Saturday afternoon, I was told, until tomorrow, when my sources are telling us that there's going to be a call tomorrow where a vote will be taken.
Yeah.
Not this straw poll word that's going around, but not kind of nobody's checking the temperature.
Yeah.
There's a vote that's going to happen, and I don't believe there will be anything past that. My opinion is I don't think there's any way Stanford and Cal get into the ACC.
Yeah, and I think that, again, a different show, but I think it's unfortunate, that politics and people's opinions in that area of life, impact these conversations. But the reality is they do.
Isn't that why there's resentment to Notre Dame?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like and we do see it. Like Notre Dame's a great example. I mean, you see it in a lot of different ways. I mean, the one of the longest running jokes on this show is truck stop conference. Right. So in a way, I mean, we see this concept pop up in college football realignment all the time. And so I just look at this and I say, yeah, sure. Are they taking a vote? Yes, they are. Does that mean that I feel confident that Stanford and Cal are going to get into the ACC? And the answer is no. I don't feel confident about that because whether it is the political stuff, whether it is, Stanford's stance with their money and how that intimidates other schools, because I totally get that. If you're a Florida State or you're any of these other, institutions in the ACC and you may not necessarily be in that well off of a position, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to be dealing. Yeah.
You mean Cal?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, that's a very interesting point because your level of financial desperation tied to athletics either helps you or it hurts you. Cal does not have a lot of voice here. And I look at SMU. SMU's got all this money, but they have no voice here.
But all their money is a little different in a way, right? Where
very different.
Stanford's this institution, and Cal is kind of the same way in this light, where you have heritage and you've done some things in the past. Stanford, I would say, is a little more valuable in that aspect because their winning and their success is relatively recent. But I think when I compare like Stanford's money to SMU's money, dude, SMU's money is just a bunch of dudes in the oil industry and otherwise who have a bunch of money and they pool that money together and they want to use that money to get somewhere.
Influence.
Stanford's money is, hey, here's the bird. We're the number 3 institution in the country, educationally speaking. And by the way, we don't feel any pressure athletically to do anything because we have all this money just sitting around. We're quite literally so wealthy and we already have P5 status that we don't have to necessarily be in a hurry from a financial standpoint.
Stanford really does have FU money. There's no question. SMU has it. But I think there is this conversation about SMU, and nobody seems to be able to figure out the value that SMU brings. And I'm happy to have the conversation again, especially with SMU fans. I have not been able to, and we talked to one of the most influential donors at SMU.
Yes.
This person could not deliver us a value proposition.
Well, and that's their precise problem, right? So again, it's the difference between, again, it's not really a fair comparison, right? I mean, we're talking about a Power 5 institution, Stanford, and then you're talking about SMU, with all due respect, right? It's not really a fair comparison, but we're comparing them because of this. So when you look at it, it's like, yeah, Stanford has all the money, but that's not the point with Stanford. The point with Stanford is education. And yes,
but that's not the
successful
value proposition.
Yeah, for SMU, that's all you have.
Yes.
SMU is just saying, hey, hey, dude, we can cut you a check and we can join the conference, but what do we really do for the conference? Because it's not like we're, some powerhouse football program that's just waiting for Power 5 funding to go out and do great things. I mean, that's not what they are. Even though they look great and they've got the uniforms and they've got the facility, that's not what they are. So,
and I actually, one of the points that I think is important here is I think the Mountain West, the AAC, hell, the other 3 members of the Pac-12, they are all waiting, knee pads in tow, to slurp at the doorstep of Stanford, right? Like, if we're being honest, I mean, the amount of, I don't know, what is the lack of reverence, the lack of respect for Stanford in the ACC is actually quite admirable, because they're the only ones who are like, yeah, bro. And one of the people I talked to about this situation said, well, the ACC's got Duke. The ACC's got North Carolina. The ACC has all of these institutions of higher learning. They don't respect Stanford the way that the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the Pac-12 did.
Well, and I think that what's funny when I hear names like Duke and all those folks.
Duke.
When I hear names like that, I'm like, yeah, you're a great educational institution, sure.
Duke.
I mean, you're not Stanford, but
Duke
you
is Duke.
educationally you're strong.
Duke.
The difference is that what do we get with Duke and North Carolina and these different ACC schools? We get you on ESPN, with Zion's fat ass breaking his Kyrie, right? Like we get, Duke, UNC. We get these great matchups regularly on ESPN all year round, and so that's where I say, and this is where I know we disagree, but that's where I say, like, dude, like you're not on TV regularly. You haven't had success in football and basketball in the last 5 years,
Just couldn't let it go.
No, I'm not going to let it go.
Because
Because with Duke and UNC, that's the only thing they have over you. That, hey, we go to the tournament and we do some things. Like, they're not even that good in football, right? UNC is like this nice little flash in the pan football program that, you see on SportsCenter once in a while. They're not a college football playoff team. They're not beating any of the SEC teams, right? You've got a nice little quarterback, and that's about it. So I don't want to hear that, hey, they're a great football program. Those are basketball schools trying to figure out how to football.
Right, but I think, I don't know, that's interesting. I look at North Carolina a little differently. I think that North Carolina is a really phenomenal institution. The Big Ten would add North Carolina today if they could. I think Duke is a phenomenal institution. It's a basketball school. God bless David Cutcliffe, but you haven't made Duke a football school. You're a basketball school. And Daniel Jones is amazing for the Giants. Duke is a basketball school.
Duke is ranked 10th in education nationally.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
UNC is ranked 21st.
And so my point is, I don't think that there's all of this reverence and respect for Stanford in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
That clearly is not the case. But the money thing matters, because I think if you're SMU and somehow you get into the ACC, you're under their thumb because you're desperate. Yeah. Stanford's not desperate. I think Stanford would rather be independent than be somebody in debt to the members of the ACC like SMU will be. Stanford, I don't think is going to play that card. And on the other side of it, Miami, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson, I think under no circumstance will vote yes to add those two schools.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get that to happen. I again will tell you the dysfunction in the city of Miami is pervasive at the University of Miami. That is a private institution who does not give a damn what most people think.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the political climate in Miami is a wreck. It just is very difficult to navigate Miami waters. Honest to goodness, I don't think you have any chance to turn them. I think the two institutions that would only consider this are Clemson and North Carolina, and I think that's maybe a 5 or 10% chance.
Well, and I think the question of, hey, why would the ACC do this is really relevant. I mean, again, when I look at the schools we're talking about, it's not like we're talking about, again, like juggernauts in athletic recently. Stanford, yes, has history. Cal's history, I think, is not relevant because it's been so long ago, and they've just been so troubled the last decade in both football and basketball, in my opinion. So that's why I say I think Stanford's biggest issue isn't even that the ACC, doesn't necessarily value them at the highest level. Stanford's biggest issue is that Cal is just not a good look right now. Cal is in debt. They're not going to help you athletically all that much. Like, there's not a huge reason for a conference to take on that debt load. Now, if you said, hey, it's Stanford and whatever premier school out of the Pac-12, Stanford and USC.
But
okay.
but this is no. This is the Oregon State argument. Because
Precisely.
Tell me that Oregon State doesn't bring far more value than Cal. The problem is Cal is a phenomenal institution for learning.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful, wonderful academic structure.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, I look at these quotes from Oregon State athletic director Scott Barnes, and I think he makes a really interesting point. Read this quote right here, and really it's the last couple of sentences here. Scott Barnes, the athletic director at Oregon State, said, we're in this spot where I think the waters are less murky than they were a few days ago, but they're not completely clear. We're waiting for the waters to clear. That'll help us understand the path forward. In other words, as my source told me today, you're twisting in the wind waiting for Stanford.
Yes.
That's what's muddying the waters, according to Oregon State.
Yeah.
And I love Scott Barnes. I have a hell of a lot of respect for him. But, dude, you have no leverage here.
Yeah.
You have, as the Big Lebowski would say, you have no frame of reference here, Donnie.
Facts.
Right? Like Walter was exactly right about Oregon State.
Yes.
You have no frame of reference here, sir.
Yes.
And Washington State, you are a pathetic, terribly run institution that is broke. You have no influence here. And so the real question is, if Stanford does not get into the ACC, which I don't think they will, where do Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State end up? That's the great mystery.
Yeah.
Because this idea that somehow the AAC is going to dissolve itself, that is not going to happen. We've told you for several weeks now, Oregon State and Washington State have invitations to the Mountain West. And I think if Stanford does not get into the ACC, most of the people I speak to say Stanford will go independent. They will merge with the and I use caution here because there is a split opinion if every member of the Mountain West Conference comes to the Pac-12. I don't believe there's a consensus on that. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. There's not a consensus on that. But the consensus is that it makes no sense for West Coast schools to live a Midwest lifestyle.
That's fucking interesting, man.
It makes no sense. And that the better fit is in the Mountain West, and the Mountain West becoming the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But by the way, one other thing that I think is very interesting, George Kliavkoff, I was told today, is done in the Pac-12. He has no voice in this. He essentially is a clerical employee at this point. That George it has almost no influence on any part of this discussion.
Yeah.
I was told that Oliver Luck really has just been a facilitator, that he's not been a guy that's been on the phone throughout the country, that he's kind of been a guy who's setting up conversations and really trying to help Oregon State and Washington State find a path to somewhere else as a P5, which is probably not going to happen. But I think this entire process hinges on Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I think those four schools control this entire script and this entire narrative, and Oregon State and Washington State find themselves in an incredibly unadvantageous situation of waiting for Stanford to get into the ACC or not. Because I think one of the other things that's a reality here is at some point you've got to stop waiting for Stanford to do something.
Yes.
And you got to move on with your life because they don't have schedules for a year from now. They do not have football schedules for a year from now. Basketball, baseball, they don't have those schedules. And I think one of the fascinating parts of this whole situation is I think their only home is the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to take, like, you look at has anybody, and you probably have not, has anybody taken a few minutes to go and look at the membership of the AAC? Have you looked at that? And I think most people have not. You're looking at universities, with all due respect, like Sacramento State. Mm-hmm. You're looking at North Texas. You're looking at Wichita State. You're looking at, Florida International. You're looking at Temple, Old Dominion.
That's quite enough. We get it.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
How does that work with Washington State, Oregon State, and Cal?
It doesn't.
How do you make your living when you have one university in the AAC, Sacramento State? And I love my friends in Sacto. Used to live there. God bless you, Fair Oaks. Love Sacramento. Sacramento State is not a P5 university.
No.
And there's no common sense for these 3 remaining members, and sure, throw in Stanford for 4. There is no common sense to add Stanford to Florida International. It makes no sense. The crown jewel of the AAC, in my opinion, is South Florida, the Tampa market.
Yep.
I think that's your crown jewel there. It's not East Carolina. It's not. It just isn't. And I look at all of these universities, and I just say to myself, I don't know what you do here, man.
Yeah, you don't go to the AAC. You vet out the ACC, and then you make your decision. That's your path.
And I think that's all you can do. And I don't know how you fix this. I mean, you look at SMU and Rice. Those are 2 great universities, man. But they don't perform. They do not perform. And again, this is not a solution.
No.
And I know so many people are pushing this, create an east to west fully national conference.
No.
For what? For what? What does Oregon State versus Florida International mean in football?
Not much.
Does anybody want to explain to me how Temple versus Cal is exciting in any one of the 20 sports they participate in?
No.
And again, there are a lot of good schools here. Memphis is a very nice institution.
It's not about good or bad. It's about the fact that you're not a P5, and it just is what it is.
It's not a fit.
Yeah, and people get all butthurt about P5 versus G5.
Butthurt.
Dude, people get all pissy about it, and it's like, I understand that you don't want us to say, hey, SMU is just not a fit in the ACC, but what else are we supposed to say? I don't know. Quite literally, their own people can't tell you why they'd be a fit in the ACC. So there's no value proposition. You go around the American and you're like, dude, like, what? Like Stanford and then this group. One looks a little different, right?
If it's the AAC, Stanford's going to go independent.
Yeah. And so then I asked Stanford, okay, so what is it about the Mountain West you don't like? Because the Mountain West saves you a lot of money, simultaneously costing you a lot of money, of course. And there are some decent brands in that conference. But ultimately, like, if you want to go independent, fine. But don't cry me a river in 3 years when you can't get into a conference when they're expanding, dude. It's going to be difficult, I think.
I would not do it. But again, I will just sit here and say, I don't believe that the AAC is going to add Stanford and Cal. And nobody that I haven't spoken to one person who's like, oh, this is a done deal. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk to says, well, you know, Miami's that school that's just never going to budge.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably bribe Florida State. You could, I think, again, you could probably work with North Carolina a little bit, although I don't think there's any chance you're moving Miami and Clemson. That's just my opinion. And I think Florida State and North Carolina are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they don't want to be – you're not going to – Notre Dame torched this last time. I think you were actually closer last time than you were this time. But I think Notre Dame's obsessive pounding on the head of that nail – Adam.
God's name, image, and likeness.
Okay, well, Adam, if you'll join in football. No. Adam, that was the rub last time. This time, it's Condoleezza Rice and W and a lot of influencers.
Yeah.
And this momentum and negotiations and just all this conversation behind the scenes about what Stanford and Cal are willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I truly believe that Stanford's at a breaking point where they're tired of the bullshit, where they're like, okay, dude, I'm done with this. You guys want us? Okay, great, we're coming. You don't? Okay, we're never going to talk to you again. I think that's where Stanford is, because the thing that got me asking questions was, well, I think it was Nicole Auerbach at The Athletic reported there's a new sense of urgency from Stanford. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what's the new sense of urgency? And the people that I spoke to said it's not really urgency as much as it is they're just done with the process.
Yeah.
They want finality, and they want to start building 2024.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense
Totally get it.
It makes perfect sense to me. So, hey, there you go. That's it. I see a lot of people joining the show right now. Please hit the thumbs up button. Give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to the show.
Do it.
We are trying to get to 25,000 subscribers before kickoff of college football season, and we are less than 2,000 away. Every one of you makes a difference to us. Thank you for being here. I cannot tell you enough how much we appreciate you. We are also a lot of people asking us about the Oregon at Texas Tech tickets. We got an avalanche of submissions today.
Got an update, baby.
We're going to play some video for you in an hour to show you who the contenders are. But again, we are giving away a pair of tickets to Oregon at Texas Tech. You see it there, September 9th.
Yes.
And it is going to be amazing. It is all presented by our good friends at Bucked Up Energy, and you guys have been amazing. Do you want to enter this contest? All you have to do is interact with Bucked Up Energy. So whether that is, hey, take a video of yourself like I'm about to do, drinking a buckshot. Hey, if you want to take a video of yourself doing that, hey, that's really good. Hey, do you want to go to buckedup.com, use the promo code Monty20 to get 20% off at purchase at buckedup.com? Do that. But this is one of the hottest tickets in town.
Mm-hmm.
It's sold out. You can't buy them unless you pay exorbitant prices. So hook it up. Let's get this done. In about 25 hours, we are going to announce the winner. 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern tomorrow. We are going to announce the winner of this here contest, and I cannot wait. An hour from now, we're going to play the submissions that are in the lead, in our opinion, because they are phenomenal. So, Jake, cheers to you.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah,
Let's get fucked up.
This buckshot's for you, baby. Ready to rock and roll. Buckshot, 200 milligrams of caffeine, gives you a mental lift, powers you through your day. I love it, you guys. I play a lot of golf, as you know. Not well, but it gets me through the back nine. You know how you get tired sometimes? Pop a buckshot, you feel much better. Get a free sample right now in the description below. Buckedup.com, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Less of us, more of you. Let's shout out
Damn.
Let's shout out post-nasal drip. I'm working on it, you guys. I'm working on it.
Hey, you're doing well.
Eating me up right now.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Once
You're good.
a year, every year.
Yep.
For about 2 weeks, I deal with this little cough that turned out to be post-nasal drip. So Advil Allergy Sinus is getting a lot of my money right now. Big shout out to Ryan Willie.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Ryan, the newest member of the showgram. By the way, you can hit join for $1.99. All your comments get highlighted and read. For $9.99, you guys, our Instagram members only chat is phenomenal. The group of guys that are in there are just fantastic. There are conversations about sports, life, food, sex, your mom, you name it. It goes on in that group.
Yes.
For $9.99, you get membership to that group. Great community there. So, Ryan, appreciate you becoming a member of the show. I thank you guys so much for supporting our show here, because without you guys, we wouldn't have one. Hugh Jazz Gamer 247, a member for 3 months now. Hugh, thank you. Guys.
Hey, guys.
Have a great show. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Stephen Smith, a member for 3 months. Thank you. You guys have been nails on everything realignment. Thank you. We appreciate that. Matt Riley for $5. YouTube machine, or as Michael Crow calls it, 23rd century technology. Isn't that?
I had someone
is still
tweeted
amazing.
me. Dude, I had someone tweeted me today, and I noticed this yesterday, but I think it's worth noting. In one of the clips we played yesterday, Michael Crow mentions the fact that the college football playoff is expanding. And what did he say? Oh, yeah, it's expanding to 8. No, sir. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's actually not, sir. So just a little cherry on top for all you ASU haters out there.
That's what I'm saying. Welcome to Star Trek Next Gen, Monty. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Oh, James Knight.
James,
giving
bro.
us $2.99 Australian. Great program yesterday, guys. Very enjoyable. Hey, coming up in 90 minutes, we'll talk NBA schedule release.
Makes its return today, bro.
And how many people hate the Lakers? We're going to find out because the Lakers are going to get run. Talk about that. Domer Wop!
Hey, Domer, let me guess. You're going to make another booster seat reference today.
Nope. For $5, he says, Monty, you really are an intellect on all of this. And you have tremendous amount of integrity. That's so incredibly rare today. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Domer Wop, my fellow Irish-Italian. Thank you very much. Delaric for $5. Only value SMU brings is it makes it harder to break the ACC grant of rights. Well, firstly, I would tell you the value that SMU brings is it allows you to put Texas on your list of territory. I don't believe SMU delivers Dallas or the state of Texas. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
But it also is somebody that's so damn thirsty that they're not going to take a penny from you for 5 years because they have donors who are willing to pay SMU athletics $200 million a year for the next, 5 years, or $200 million over the next 5 years to compensate for the lack of media rights income.
Yeah.
That's what they bring you. So you're saving yourself, a pretty good chunk of coin that can be rebated back to the other members to make them happy.
But that would be more valuable if SMU was doing anything in athletics of note. I think if SMU had the ability to say, okay, yeah, you know what? We understand that you can't get us the pro rata we deserve. We understand that we can't get that in the ACC. But hey, our football team can scratch into the AP top 10 every week.
Yeah.
No, it can't. That's just not where it's at.
Yeah.
And I think that's the value piece they're missing. So it's like the conversation of does it matter if you win on the field or not is ever evolving. And in my opinion, it's always has been and always will be case by case. Because, again, imagine for Stanford. Imagine if Stanford was some garbage educational institution. If they were 250th in the country.
Hello, West Virginia.
Right? Dude. You wouldn't, dude, you're going to piss off Morgantown, okay? Look, Ray Anderson, relax, okay?
Okay, they're not going to be pissed off. They're out cleaning coal. It's fine. They're not here
Dawn
yet.
dish soap.
Wow. Dawn. Wow. I love you, West Virginia. Mountain Mama, I love you.
Mountaineers.
Alex gives us $1.99 to say SMU, it's an attempt to, quote, reboot that won't live up. Totally agree.
Nah.
Domer Wop.
Hey, Domer.
$2 more. Greed is good. Gordon Gecko.
Where's the Italian?
Greed is good. Wall Street was such a good movie. So good. Matt Ritson for $2. Stanford got dirty money, can't in the ACC, so whine again.
Yeah.
I think there's so much dysfunction in ACC membership right now. I think that Florida State is indicative of the dysfunction, not necessarily the dysfunction.
Right.
I think Florida State is one of many who wished they were flying different flags these days.
Yeah.
And I think it is very clear that, and maybe this is where your belief in on-field, on-court performance, what's Miami done for the past 10 years?
Nothing.
Occasionally made a run in basketball. But they haven't been relevant in college football for years.
They haven't done anything in either sport that's worth mentioning. Just because you got to the round of 64.
I would go easy on that. Miami basketball actually Miami has a quality basketball program. Now, does that mean they go to Elite Eights and Final Fours? And no. They're a quality basketball product at Miami. There's no question. But that's not even, in my opinion, their real value. The athlete, the quality of athlete that comes out of SoFlo is just so good. South Florida athletics is, which is why I talk about, South Florida, the University of South Florida, because I think if you're the Big 12 cornering the market on Tampa and Orlando, you own that state. You own that state. And for my money, Miami's biggest value is the caliber of athlete that they give you. Now, their biggest detraction, frankly, is the political scene there.
Yeah.
And they brought home their favorite son, Mario Cristobal, and there are people who would like to fire him already.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, maybe they're a little better than I thought. Yeah, Final Four last year.
Yes,
I guess. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm not sold. Dude.
I think Miami is a double-edged sword. But I think if Miami were the only issue, fine, you'd have Stanford and Cal in the ACC. But they're not, because you need to convert Clemson and North Carolina, and I just don't see that happening.
I really feel like that there's levels to this game. Like in college athletics, man, like you're in that top cut, right? If you're like, the Georgias, Alabamas, those every year college football playoff teams, the Ohio States, Michigans, like you got that cut of school that's like, no doubt about it, if you could get them, you would do anything to get them. And those schools are always going to be protected and always going to be fine. But as you go down the list, like, I don't want to have to sell my school's value.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be in a place where I got to be like, okay, yeah, we're Miami, went to the Final Four this season, this past tournament, 2023. And we get to the tournament, pretty regularly, but we haven't won in a minute. And, we brought Cristobal into our football program, and that didn't really work out for us. And, what is Miami's educational ranking? Jesus. Let's see.
You should not look at this.
55th in the country. Okay, so we're ranked 55th in the country in education. Like, you're having to.
I'm telling you,
do you
there's
see
value
what I mean?
there.
But there is value,
there.
but you have to justify. You have to sell your value. Where it's like with USC, you don't have to sell your value, right? With TCU,
Georgia, Alabama.
TCU doesn't have to sell their value as much
The
because
big
they've
boys
won recently.
Listen, the big boys don't have to sell themselves.
No.
I get that. But these are not the big boys we're playing with. Stanford, breaking news, doesn't have to sell itself. Stanford has value. Well,
I disagree. I think that's all Stanford's doing right now. Stanford's having to say, okay, yeah, I understand ACC, folks. You don't want to bring Cal in. So what are we going to do about bringing in another school, right? That's what Stanford's having to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like before that, Stanford, had to try to sell itself to the Big Ten, and the Big Ten said no because the Big Ten wanted to wait on the ACC grant of rights to expire. Like, there's a reason. Like, let's not beat around the bush. There's a reason Stanford's not in a conference right now. Like, we need to accept that, in my opinion. Like, there's a reason.
And what do you mean by that?
There's a reason, dude. If Stanford, right, and I'm not trying to be outlandish, but if Stanford was so valuable, if Stanford didn't have to sell itself, would they not have gotten picked up by someone already? And I know, hey, you got to have even numbers. When you're talking about a school that plays football and basketball, like, you can't just add them alone.
You're not going to take Stanford over Cal or Oregon and Washington. You're not doing that. But nobody's doing that.
But if you pick up Oregon and Washington, why wouldn't you take Stanford and then one more?
Because I believe that the Big Ten is going to get Notre Dame and North Carolina. I think that's going to happen. And I think they know if they go to 20, that's an awfully difficult cap to break.
So is it fair to say then that they value those two over Stanford more?
Sir, I think Notre Dame is the prize of expansion.
But like UNC. Like, I think UNC versus Stanford is a perfectly fine conversation to have, value-wise, right? Like, the Big Ten's right in the middle of the country. Okay, UNC has been on ESPN more, but that shouldn't hurt Stanford because we know Stanford's been in a dreadful position with their TV contract.
I think North Carolina is more valuable because they bring you a high level of education. They bring you a dominant fan base. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things that nobody talks about with Stanford is they have a very small student body.
Well, that's true.
Stanford is and I don't think people realize this. And I obviously, because I work there and covered Stanford athletics, I know this. Stanford has a very small campus. It's a very small enrollment. It's not Michigan. It's not.
So Stanford's got 35,360 students every year.
You're not some massive powerhouse university that's going to put 100,000 fans in a football stadium. The Farm, which is their home field, is rarely ever half full.
Yeah.
That's just not the culture at Stanford. Now, basketball is a little different at Stanford. But my point is, if you look at the alumni, and if you look at on average their student body, Stanford is a small university. There's this misconception that Stanford is somehow, again, like Michigan. It's not.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
It's not. Cal, there is very little passion for athletics in the Bay Area for Cal.
Right.
Very, very little. And I continue to try and preach this message. You're not adding Stanford and Cal because you want Stanford and Cal in your TV market. You're adding Stanford and Cal because you want the Bay Area, which has a phenomenal sports fan base. Phenomenal. But you're not going to get Stanford and Cal fans turning on the TV.
Right.
But you are going to get, you're going to get a nice melting pot of everything that's West Coast.
Yeah.
Because there's so much money there.
Yeah.
So I think Stanford, in my opinion,
yeah,
Stanford is fighting a perception versus reality.
Oh, I agree with that completely.
And I think Stanford's in a position where they don't have to take your bullshit, and they're not going to. You don't want us here, fine, we don't want to be here. And hey, if you want us, we'd love to be part of your conference, but if you're gonna be a burr in our crotch, we're not interested in it.
See, and that's so interesting because I think that's true. I think that's their philosophy, but like the perception versus reality thing, I think that's the argument. Now, it's not whether Stanford's valuable or not. I don't think that's the perception versus reality conversation. I think it's Stanford's perception that they don't necessarily need the ACC as an example. Whereas the ACC schools are sitting there saying, well, wait, hold on a second. What do you mean? You're not in a conference right now. You don't have a home. You're really telling me you're going to go independent? And so if you think about two people sitting in a room and Stanford's on one side and ACC's on the other, and Stanford's saying, I don't need you guys, but I'd love to be in your conference. Like the ACC, I would guess, is going to take that as disrespectful. And so it's like those two kind of come together.
No, because I don't think that's the question being asked of Stanford. I don't think, and the biggest problem here, I don't think there's a whole lot of direct A to B conversation going on with the ACC and Stanford.
You think we're playing telephone?
I think we are passing the bottle.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem. And I think the ACC is very dysfunctional. I think there is a large swath of the ACC that would love to add Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
And I think there are 4 schools who will never let it happen.
And that's enough to make it not happen.
And I am as sure as I am sitting here telling you it is Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and I believe it's Miami.
Yeah.
I know there's dissension about who that 4th school is. I'm telling you, I am a firm believer it's Miami. All right, football 50 coming up in just a bit. But I want to get a couple more in here. Raptor88 says, hi, guys. Let's have a great show. Thank you. I appreciate that. Provo Cougar fan. Wow, Raptor88's been a member for 6 months.
Go, Raptor. Appreciate you,
bro. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you, Raptor. Provo Cougar fan gives us $5 to say, donation for your next background board, the Monty and Jake show. No, it's not like that.
It's not like that.
Monty is, yes, people call me Monty, but Monty is,
it's a brand,
it's this deity that is, well, I am godlike too, but that's it. So it's this larger, entity. And yeah, I'm fat, but not that large. So
pardon me.
Monty is Monty is like all encompassing.
I mean, I'm almost like Notre Dame.
But coach, I don't know how quite to say it, but Jake doesn't matter. That's really probably the most succinct way.
Waves in opposition.
The Monty Show.
Major breaking news this morning as the ACC is expanding, and it is shocking, the details coming out of ACC Expansion. Let's get right to work on this story because I'll tell you, we have really talked at length about SMU's role in this, and I think it is significant. The ACC this morning voted to expand with Stanford, Cal, and SMU. SMU will take 0 TV and media distribution dollars for 9 years. According to our sources, 9 years with 0 TV media distribution dollars. Stanford and Cal will each get $12 million a year. And obviously, this is just groundbreaking, shifting, shocking, major league movement in college football. The ACC, I think, did something today that was required for them to survive, because one of the things we've talked an awful lot about is what's going to happen with Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. We have tried as many ways as we know how to understand how Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina will exit the ACC. You know that the ACC has a rock solid, locked grant of rights through 2036. That requires a $120 million buyout, but also a vote of the other league's members for that institution to leave. Now we are told this morning that a large part of ACC expansion is related to Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina exiting the ACC within 5 years on a negotiated basis, which is likely the only way that those 3 schools would get out. It is a foregone conclusion that it is now when, not if. So a significant change is coming from the leadership in the ACC on messaging about Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson leaving the ACC. And yes, it's huge that the ACC added Stanford and Cal with SMU. But there is no doubt the bigger storyline, the headline, the shocker out of ACC expansion is that within 5 years, the ACC believes Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina will leave the ACC. Jake, is that good or bad for the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. It's not great for the ACC. I mean, you're basically adding these 3 teams in an effort to backfill a future departure of your conference. And no, in my opinion, Stanford, Cal, and SMU don't have anything on those 3 brands. And I think that, you know, again, we've talked so much about how, you know, brands like UNC and Clemson and Florida State, those are all potential Big Ten brands. You know, obviously Clemson and UNC are no doubt about it. Florida State, I think, is a pain in everyone's side. So where they end up, I'm not exactly sure. Probably the Big Ten, but you can't tell me they're not going to chase the SEC. So to me, I look at this situation and I say, yes, this is great. The ACC is expanding, but this type of expansion, in my opinion, is definitely different than what we saw with the Big 12, the Big 10, or the SEC. The SEC took Texas and Oklahoma because they saw an opportunity and they saw 2 brands that fit into their conference nicely. That made a lot of sense for the SEC. It was not about future survival. It wasn't about, hey, we're going to lose other brands in the future, so we need to backfill. No, we just saw Texas and Oklahoma, nice fit in our conference. Okay, great. And that was the same logic that the Big 12 and the Big 10, in my opinion, used as well. Adding nameplates to your conference that bring value with your TV partners, value to your current member institutions, like all of that made a lot of sense in terms of expansion. This side of the ACC, in my opinion, is quite different. This is, hey, we're going to add the remnants of the Pac-12 with Stanford and Cal, and we need SMU to take no money for 9 years to facilitate it, essentially, with our member institutions. And, by the way, we needed ESPN's help a little bit, too. So to me, this is basically just the ACC being like, hey, we understand what's coming in 5 years. We're going to do everything we can to fortify ourselves because we don't really see another, nameplate institution leaving its conference inside of the next 5 years. Because if you thought that, any brand you want to point to in the Big Ten, like if you thought, as an example, Nebraska, let's say, or just some nameplate Big Ten brand was going to leave that conference and you'd have the opportunity to bring them in, you wouldn't have done this. And so I think the ACC is essentially saying, hey, this was our last best chance to backfill what we think is going to happen inside of 5 years. And I can't say I blame them, but I'm not sure how all of this is going to work out. Obviously, there's going to be scheduling issues. They're going to have to figure all that out. You're going to have to figure out, money and how all of that sort of works together. We've never really seen a conference go from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I think there's a lot of question marks here.
Well, one of the details that we have been told this morning is that the ACC has a travel schematic in place now. to ensure that their current members do not end up going to the West Coast every year. Those details are pending, but my guess is you're going to see that schools don't go to the West Coast every year to play Stanford and Cal. My guess is you're going to see that every 2 or 3 years. Teams will go out. I think you are going to see that there are going to be neutral site big games depending on the quality of Stanford and Cal. I think basketball becomes an integral part of the equation in the ACC because of the travel. But I think this story with FSU, Clemson, and North Carolina is a big one. And the question is, and this is what we've reduced this to for weeks and months now, where does Florida State fit in? Because I have no problem believing that the SEC would add Clemson. I know for a fact, as we've reported from sources on this show for several months, that the Big Ten values North Carolina at a very high level. I have no idea where Florida State fits in. Does Clemson and Florida State belong in the SEC? Potentially. But are you telling me that Florida is going to lay down and allow Florida State to join the SEC? Maybe the SEC adds them anyway, but I highly doubt that. Why would you tweak Florida to get Florida State? It'd be different if Florida State was a national power that wins on a regular basis. But frankly and bluntly, Florida State does not win, especially in football, which is what this ACC expansion was so focused on from a revenue perspective. All of these moves and deals were cut to generate more football revenue for those that win games of consequence on the football field. ACC expansion with Stanford and Cal and SMU was not certainly pointed at basketball. It is directly pointed at winning games on the football field. That is your quickest ticket to bigger revenue in the ACC. It does not make a lot of sense to me that the SEC would add Florida State with Florida there. I've been told so many times by sources in college football and television that Florida is a passionate no on Florida State to the SEC. And I get that. But having said that, USC was a passionate no to Oregon joining the Big Ten, and here we are today. So anything is possible. But I can tell you unequivocally, Florida State's a no in the Big Ten from what I've been told, unless something dramatically changes. So I don't know where Florida State's home is. Clemson and North Carolina can write their own ticket. I don't think you can say the same thing for Florida State. And I think it's a huge part of this deal again this morning that the ACC is planning to lose Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina within 5 years. That is not a long time. And note, it's within 5 years. It's not 5 years from now. It's within 5 years that the ACC is planning on not having Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. And one of the other things I think is so shocking about this is that the ACC was able to flip North Carolina State to a yes. And why that is significant, North Carolina and North Carolina State generally act in lockstep. Bubba Cunningham has talked about that. Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director at North Carolina, has talked about that. Now, Bubba's also said that he's always going to do what's best for North Carolina, and that's clearly what happened here. But it's a little surprising that North Carolina State voted in opposition, direct opposition to North Carolina. Those two, I think, very much like Arizona and Arizona State, recognize that when they act in concert together as a two-person vote, they are far more influential than they are when they act in opposition. And now it would seem that North Carolina, who put out a statement last night vehemently opposing ACC expansion with Stanford, Cal, and SMU, is now directly opposed to where North Carolina State is. And that is perhaps the most surprising part of ACC expansion. I think that adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU is the understory here. It is secondary to the fact that the ACC believes they're going to lose Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson within 5 years, and that North Carolina and North Carolina State are now not acting in concert.
Yeah, and I think that the Pac-12's lack of foresight, lack of ability to see the future is clearly shining in this conversation because the ACC saw what happened in the Pac-12 and said, hey, like as soon as, Carol Folt and USC got off the phone and reached out to Kevin Warren in the Big Ten, like, dude, like that was the end. And we know that our member institutions are going to do what's best for them. And we understand that. We don't love it, but we understand it. And I think that, again, like I've said, if you're going to expand, it's not always when you want to. It's when you have the opportunity to, because you can't just go, to the Big Ten, let's say, and reach out to one of their member institutions and try to get them to jump ship. That's unethical. That's a bad look. And so you basically, if you're the ACC, had an opportunity to add back what you could, so you took that opportunity. But I just think we're in the bigger picture outside of the ACC, like for college athletics, we're seeing something that I think everyone's talked about for a long time and thought maybe it could happen, but now it's actually happening, where it's like, hey, the fear of your conference burning down and dissolving is a stronger force than adding SMU just on premise alone, right? Like 2 years ago, the ACC wouldn't even acknowledge SMU's existence.
Not even 2 years ago, probably 2 months ago.
2 months ago, sure. But
Right.
now we're in a place where they're like, hey, yeah, we need to add these member institutions because we know that these schools are probably going to leave, and we don't want to be hung out to dry.
It is. That's the shocking part. This is not good for college sports. And I think you look at adding Stanford and Cal, this is just from a logistical standpoint, this is really stupid for Stanford and Cal. And I think the ACC is going to leverage Stanford and Cal for the revenue and the income and the ATM machine that those two universities represent. Stanford and Cal are going to travel a significant amount of miles here. It is bad for their student athletes. It is bad for the academics. It is bad for on-field performance. There's nothing good about this for Stanford and Cal. Nothing. It is a mistake. It is foolish. It is selfish. It is just, in my opinion, this is really, really dumb by Stanford and Cal. And I understand you want to stay P5 and you want to make that bread, but then what good is that fucking endowment that I'm tired of hearing about at Stanford? Oh, we have $1 billion. Okay, congratulations. What did you get out of it? You got bad logistics for your students. You got bad logistics for their mental health. You got bad logistics for winning games on the court and on the field. So congratulations, you're a sacrificial lamb to the bigger brands in the ACC. What did Stanford and Cal get out of this? Did you get easier access to the NCAA tournament? No, you didn't. You didn't. Did you get better relationships out of it? Not than you had in the Pac-12. You didn't. I don't understand what the win here for Stanford and Cal is.
Yeah, I think it's singularly P5 status. That's
but
it.
But what does that mean if you're only getting $12 million?
Oh, I agree. I mean, you what Stanford and Cal have done here is they've said, hey, we just want to keep, and we should stop saying P5, P4 status. That's the only thing that this gets you. I mean, again, because what you just said, right? You're only getting $12 million. It's not like, you're getting the proposed Apple deal money, right? Apple was willing to pay you more than this is going to get you. So this is where I say, okay, if you're Stanford, what's the game plan moving forward? Because all your money is essentially tied up in the playoffs of basketball and football.
Yeah, and I think one of the other parts of this that you really have to look at now is what's next for the Mountain West. Because now, if you are Washington State and you are Oregon State, what did we report earlier this week? That Scott Barnes at Oregon State, and the leadership at Oregon State were aggressively pursuing avenues to remain a P5 contender.
Yeah.
That's dead. It's over. This idea that you can somehow keep the Pac-12 as a P5, that's done. That brand is dead. You cannot have, and we can sit here and we can fabricate and hallucinate about, oh man, if we merge with the Mountain West. No, that's over with. There's no merging now. You're going to, Oregon State and Washington State, and maybe I just am reading this incorrectly and people that we talk to are completely wrong. Oregon State and Washington State have to join the Mountain West.
So what choice do you have? I mean, you've lost the leverage.
The AAC is not an option.
Yeah, I mean, I again, like, dude, Stanford and Cal are only getting $12 million from the ACC. Like, Oregon State and Washington State going to the AAC just is not viable. There's just not enough money there, and it's not worth your time. And by the way, I think, dude, going into the Mountain West for Oregon State and Washington State, yeah, I get that that's a step down for you status-wise, but ultimately that's going to bring you more reliability. And I'd be really curious to see, based on the money that you weren't making in the Pac-12, just how much lower the profit margin actually is. Because you can't tell me that you were making hand over fist in the Pac-12, because I know you weren't. You made enough money to renovate Reeser. You made enough money to, do some nice things, but you can't tell me that you're avoiding the Mountain West because of solely just the money. Because at the end of the day, that TV contract's going to get renegotiated.
Yeah, I don't think most people understand that when you add teams, like the ACC had to renegotiate their grant of rights with ESPN, with their TV distribution partners, to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU.
Right.
The Mountain West will have to do the same thing. And undoubtedly, there will be a bump in pay there from CBS and Fox. To what level, we don't know. You would think that opposite of Stanford and Cal, Oregon State and Washington State will come in as full share revenue members. I just don't know what other choice you have. I'll go back to Washington State first here. They're broke. They athletically are insolvent. They're in a massive hole. You look at the debt load for the Research Stadium rebuild at Oregon State. Like, these are critical financial decisions. Are you viable as an athletic department? Well, Cal's taken $12 million in an athletic department that is also, by most account, insolvent. They're broke. They are in massive debt for Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. You have a huge travel bill coming your way. The other part of the ACC expanding with Stanford and Cal that Washington State and Oregon State will not have to worry about is the influx of human cost. You have to add human infrastructure at Stanford and Cal because you have to have more tutors. You have to have more athletic support. You have to have more online infrastructure to support longer road trips, more time away from Stanford and Cal. And ask yourself this about Stanford and Cal. And I know if you've watched this show for any amount of time in the last 6 weeks, you're tired of hearing me say this. How are you supposed to be an athlete, a college football player, a college basketball player, and you're away from the Stanford campus for 10 days at a time? How are you supposed to achieve academically, which is the only reason you go to Stanford?
Yeah.
Because let's get something straight right now. You don't make Stanford your first choice if you're looking to play in the NBA or the NFL.
Facts.
You make Stanford your first choice if you're looking to play as a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a researcher, that's why you go to Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to achieve at the highest heights of academics at an institution like Stanford or Cal that's already incredibly difficult to do that at? It's so difficult to achieve academically if you're hundo P on academics. If your entire focus is A+ every test all the way, you're probably failing at that. So what do you say to a Stanford basketball player, a Stanford football player that's now got all of this extra travel that, like in football, it's much less because let's say you're playing Florida State on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, well, that game now fucks up your body clock because if it's a noon kickoff, Eastern time, let's say, that's 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Bad for your physical, bad for your mental, bad for your sleep schedule. You leave on probably Thursday. You stay there Friday, and then you come back Saturday night. Oh, that's a red-eye flight. That's right. So let's say the game, if it's a nighttime game, you're a red-eye flight. So can you play night games on the East Coast? You're probably going to have to. But do you see the travel logistical questions here?
Yeah.
And the mental health that we're talking about? I don't know what you say to Stanford students and Cal students. I don't. Now, a Washington State and Oregon State athlete does not have this issue when they join the Mountain West. We're talking about going to Fresno. We're talking about going to Boise. We're talking about going to Reno.
I'm talking about not leaving the Pacific time zone for the most part.
This is wild to me. All right. Less of us, more of you. The big story this morning, breaking news out of the ACC. The ACC is expanding. They will be adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. SMU will get, this is wild, no TV media distribution money, according to our sources in television, for 9 years.
9
years. They will get all of the other revenue distribution, as will Stanford and Cal. They will get college football playoff money. They will get NCAA tournament money. They will get partnership, all of that stuff. They'll get all of that money. Revenue streams outside of things like the revenue from the conference championship branding rights or whatever.
Right.
They're going to get that. Simply, SMU will take no TV or media distribution money for 9 years. For 9 years. Stanford and Cal will each get $12 million per season. The ACC was able to flip NC State, which is stunning, because North Carolina went out of their way last night to release a statement of absolute negativity and a hard no against ACC expansion with Stanford and Cal. And what did they cite? Travel logistics.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
The bigger lead here, the ACC is planning Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina will leave the ACC by negotiated exit is the term that was described to me within 5 years. Now, that's a very deliberate term. That's not something you just pull off the top of your head.
No.
They are negotiating an exit. And what that tells me is we are going to get industry realignment. TV, media partners, advertising partners, conference, NCAA partnerships are going to have a significant role in realignment and conference expansion. I think that's how the grant of rights in the ACC will be broken. I think that's how Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina will get out of the ACC. You knew it wasn't simply going to be JP Morgan Chase is going to give us $120 million and we're going to get our way out of the grant of rights.
To do what exactly?
You knew, because, not to be redundant, but Florida State has very limited options here.
Yeah.
So I think you knew it was going to take an industry action, and that's what this is being described to us as. A negotiated exit.
Yeah.
For Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. And I think North Carolina and Notre Dame will bring the Big Ten to 20 teams. That's my feeling on it. That's the feeling that I get.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Stanford, Cal, and SMU are expected to have votes today or tomorrow to accept formal invitations from the ACC, which will go out today.
Glad we got this done before kickoff.
Yeah, the formatics are simply now being executed.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's get your thoughts in on this. As always, the comment section, college football on this show in general, is presented by our good friends at Bucked Up Energy, the official energy product of the Monty Show. Time to roll.
Okay.
Let's do this thing. It is 6:30 Pacific. It is 9:30 Eastern, and I'm ready for a mental lift. That's why I turned a buckshot from Bucked Up. 200 milligrams of caffeine, but this is going to give you a mental bump. It's like you connected booster cables to your epidemiology glands and shit in your brain.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah, I can feel my frontal cortex. That's not true. But anyway, Bucked Up gives you 200 milligrams of caffeine in their buckshot. And the thing, yeah, it does. You know what? Vitality. Well, I don't have that problem. I have the reverse problem. After 4 hours, I should probably see a doctor.
Right.
But my point is, Bucked Up's going to get you going. I love my guys at Bucked Up. I understand so many people have been saying, hey, Buckshot's always sold out at buckedup.com. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And if you go to buckedup.com, you can get watermelon. Now, this is just my opinion. Watermelon's the best flavor of buckshot.
Water
ice. Watermelon is the best flavor of buckshot. It's available at buckedup.com. Use the promo code Monty20 to get 20% off your purchase at buckedup.com. Dale Donut says, here is the reality. This will blow up the ACC. SMU could very well find themselves in the same boat as the last 23 years and never made a dime, but in fact cost them money in the long run. Absolutely could be. Absolutely could be. John Famlor. Holy F, you guys are discussing this story. Why would we not be?
Yeah, why? I don't understand.
Tarrant County SMU boy says, gulp, gulp. Love it. Love it. Why? I think this is the biggest story in sports today.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Matt Ritson for $5. This boneheaded by the ACC. Add the Three Stooges to the conference so to get monopoly money from SMU. SMU does bring money.
Yeah.
There's no question. SMU brings money and relationships. And when you're as bad as they are athletically over the last 15 years, you would better bring money and relationships.
Yeah.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Because until they start winning consistently, and by the way, good luck winning in the ACC basketball circles, because that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I know they say they have Dallas on the front of there.
Right.
I'll stop. Lance Johnson. Lance, good morning for $4.99. Congrats to Utah on its manhandling of Florida last night. Big 12 already flexing its new muscles. Indeed.
I'm for real.
How about it? Without Cam Rising and without Brant Keithy. How about Utah dominating Florida last night?
Yeah, it wasn't really all that close, was it? Like you
It was not close at all.
Did you watch this game and Brant Keithy, Cam Rising not out there? Bryson Barnes obviously doing his thing. Money Parks with the, obviously with the bomb to start the game.
How about Bryce Martin calling that?
Yeah, dude.
Our guy Bryce Martin on the show yesterday called that.
Yeah, and I think that it's, it was great to see. I mean, honestly, it was great to see. Like, the strategy offensively for Utah was different than what I was expecting. I was expecting Kyle Whittingham to be the same old Kyle Whittingham we know and love, which he was last night, defensively speaking. But offensively, to come out and have that bomb and be good with an aggressive offense was great to see.
How about my guy Nate Johnson?
Yeah.
That's the quarterback of the future of Utah.
Yes, it is.
Matt Riley for $2. I'm so confused. Monty is on at 7 a.m. Wow, Pim's going Pim.
Well, have you been listening to the show? Because that tells me that, you're out of your element.
We told you that today's a travel day for us because it's the Labor Day holiday. So please enjoy some not labor time this weekend. But we're going to be out of town.
Having fun is the name of the game.
Packing up the golf clubs and going golfing.
Golf.
In Los Angeles this weekend. So flying first class.
Yeah.
It's, as I said, Pim's going to Pim.
If you ain't first, you're last.
It's what I do. Jake will be in the cargo hold. But my point is, we're off on a little venture this weekend. So, yes, we are doing, and it worked out perfectly because ACC Expansion happened this morning at about 5 a.m. Pacific time. Corey Erickson for $5. Calford are not looking out for their producers. The students make the product, and this is all about money for administrators. Just a bad move. 100% I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Cleveland Rocks for $5. Thanks, Disney and Spectrum, for screwing over college football fans last night. Oh, boy.
Dude, that was cold.
Started watching the Utah game, and Disney cut the cord, those bastards. Here's what happened.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Spectrum has been refusing to pay ESPN. This is not ESPN's fault, but I understand why people are pissed. Spectrum is a major TV distributor in this country. Spectrum Sportsnet.
Yeah.
They have been refusing to pay ESPN. So ESPN said, okay, well, we're going to turn you off. So it was shocking because Spectrum is the largest distributor of digital sports streaming content, which is exactly where ESPN's trying to be.
Yeah.
But why would you work for free if you're ESPN? Spectrum didn't want to pay ESPN, So ESPN cut them off. It's no different than the old TV days of a carriage dispute.
Yeah.
And my guess is it'll get worked out quickly because people were pissed.
Yeah.
But I'd remind you, this is not a Disney ESPN problem. This is a Spectrum problem.
That's right, T.
Spectrum wants a massive discount. They think they have leverage. ESPN said they don't.
Yeah, how'd that leverage work out for you when the premier football game of the night got turned off?
Whew. People were pissed.
They know reset.
Dude, I feel you, dude. Makes me wonder, Hero75 for $5 says, make me wonder about Miami and Duke. I could see them as more of a target for conferences than FSU. FSU seems like too much of a pain to deal with. I agree.
Well, too much of a pain to deal with, not enough winning. I mean, again, if you're winning, nobody cares how much of a a-hole you are because you win and you make them money. So, if you win, like, as an example, everybody and their mom has FSU as a top 10 team this year on the football field, and they're really good, and everything's amazing.
Hey, can you guys ask your moms where they're at?
You are not.
Where are you guys at on Florida State? Mom? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I should text Mrs. Monty. How good do you think Florida State will be this
He
year?
has our full respect.
No, they don't. But you're not wrong. Florida State has a lot of
people think that they're going to be amazing this year. And hey, maybe they will. And you're damn right. I'm watching that LSU Florida State game, which we're going to discuss later in the showroom today.
It's one of our locks today.
But I just think that, dude, winning buys you so many luxuries, and that would include being a pain in the ass. And Florida State just hasn't won enough to warrant it.
They haven't. And I think Florida State being a 2-point dog to LSU, that game's in Orlando, by the way, is huge. Huge. Did you guys see the bounce house last night? Anybody pay attention to the UCF? I know they suck and nobody cares about them.
Braves in opposition.
Yeah, somebody told you to watch out for them. My guy, John Rice. If you're an announcer in college football, how do you get the quarterback's name right? Get
His
the defensive
name isn't
tackle.
Rice.
Listen, if you have a bunch of polys on the defensive line and mispronounce their name. Suamata, your mama, I totally get it. Right? Like, there are tough names out there. John Reese Plumlee is not a difficult name to pronounce.
And his name is John Cena.
It's not John Cena. It's John Reese. It's John. How are they getting that wrong? We'll have locks for you. Colorado, TCU, Texas Tech. Does Texas Tech go to Laramie and cover the 14?
They did a thing on the Utah-Florida game last night. They had a graphic that said that Laramie is 7,000 feet above sea level.
I'm warning you, Texas Tech. I am warning you. Are in danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Yeah. I'm warning you.
Yeah.
This is a danger game. Danger game. Matt Riley for $5. No, Jake, I haven't been listening. I flew to Salt Lake City to watch Utah crush Florida. Go Utes.
Hey,
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
That's a see,
you tell him, Matt.
See, unlike Florida State, that's a winning comment.
Get him.
See? That's a winning comment.
Matt Ritson for $5. ASU won games by 3 lightning and sandstorm. Did you guys see the haboob? Do you guys know what a haboob is? No, it's not like. Anyway, my point is, a haboob is a dust storm.
Yeah.
They had to empty Sun Devil Stadium because of a dust storm.
It's not Sun Devil Stadium.
Yeah,
it's always
it's
not.
Screw you.
This case is empty.
Ray Anderson, you're a devil.
Empty. The opposite of full.
Literally a devil. A devil.
Okay.
Let's see who's in on the old comment machine this morning. Oh, hey, mid Callaway McCluskey.
Yeah, can we talk about? Well, no, it's fine. No.
Mayor McCluskey outplayed us last week.
No, he did not. It was even. It was even.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
BYU wins this weekend, 104-6. Well, you better get those wins while you can.
Yeah, and I shoot a 64.
You better get those wins. You better get those wins while you can. MJ Bissett, good morning. He says, except for greed. Okay. Mike Smith, SMU has pre-printed acceptance letters with a blank spot to type in the name of a new conference.
It's boilerplate at this point.
Pam. Okay.
Guys.
Okay, phone's ringing. Is it the ACC? What am I putting on this line?
The ink isn't dry yet.
Did we get the donor's permission to put something on this line? All hat, no oil. That's very true. Derek Myrie, wonderful news for SMU equals they are now a P4 school. Are they, though?
Yeah.
Are they?
Hey, you're in the ACC.
How long until SMU finishes in the top 25? In the 9 years where they don't get shit for TV money.
That's not the point, right?
But absolutely it's the point. If you're a P5, oh yeah, hey bro, hey man, we've got cattle under the hat now. We're all hat and cattle. Hey, but you guys aren't getting any money from TV or media rights. Well, that doesn't matter. Why pay for the cow if the milk's free?
What really do we have to lose?
Are you really a P4 school? You're not getting P4 money. You're not going to win games on a P4 level. What is SMU?
A school that's never going to win that has access to the college football playoff.
SMU works in the house of rich people. SMU's that server in the restaurant, like that 5-star steakhouse. You're the waiter that serves all the rich people that get the T-bone, and you're in back eating grizzle.
Ronnie, please.
That's who SMU is. SMU is the guy at the car wash washing Boss Frog's Porsche Taycan. That's who SMU is. SMU is the trash man that's like, oh, wow, look at that 75-inch TV box. That's who SMU is.
Right.
You're a housekeeper. That's who SMU is.
Well, and I guess we're going to see just how good the marketing department is.
And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I've waited a ton of tables in my life. Trust me, I know the feeling.
But no one's going to disrespect me.
That yar who yar. When you agree not to take TV money for 9 years, you're a thirsty girl, man.
But what are they supposed to do? And this is the conundrum, right? I don't disagree. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I just don't think SMU, and furthermore, schools on SMU's level, have another choice. I mean, literally, the only reason SMU could do this is because they have that money just sitting there.
You know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to win football games. You're supposed to win basketball games. If no, it's too early for a Monty rant.
Oh, please! You're tired of the cool kid on the block getting an invite?
You guys, okay, 3:00 meeting in Dallas County to count all the money.
Dallas County.
It's a 3:00 meeting in Dallas County, which is different than Tarrant County. 3:00 meeting, Dallas County. Let's count all the money in the till at the collective.
Yes, you did.
Okay?
Yes, you did.
And we're all getting new Stetson hats. Okay? And I'm just telling you, we've got a ton of money. Hey, SMU, how are you? I'm good, man. You know how much money we have? That's
You ought to know. You bought it.
Yeah, SMU's like, oh, hey, man, aren't you guys the Mustangs? No, we're the rich guys. We have all the money. Hey, what was your record on the football field last year? Don't give a shit. We've got a ton of money. Well, okay. Where'd you go to school? Doesn't matter. I'm rich. Like, that's who SMU is. They're the guy that's like, oh, yeah, why don't you go in the kitchen and eat the grizzle because we've got all the money.
Yeah.
The problem is you're the joker. You're the one you're just going to try and cause havoc and you're going to burn all that money. You literally stacked up all of your money in the middle of the room and threw a match on it. And it's burning because it's not going to make you any.
You see, I'm a guy of simple taste.
We're getting distributions from the college football playoff. I'm feeling myself. Oh, my God. Eric Dickerson's back. They're driving Trans Ams, bro. Craig James. Pony Express, motherfuckers. We're back. Okay, but back to what? Back
to front?
In the next 9 years, is SMU ever ranked in the top 25 in football?
No.
In the next 9 years, does SMU play for the ACC basketball championship?
No.
In the next 5 years, does SMU go to the NCAA tournament?
Potentially.
No. So just go ahead and let me know. What are you a P4? I'm tired of SMU fan in the comment section. Oh, my God. It says Dallas right here on the front of our uniform. SMU delivers Dallas.
That's right, T.
So now all of a sudden, forget about, I don't know, Texas A&M, UT, Steve Sarkisian. No, not going there. Not going to TCU. Not going to play in Lubbock. Not going to arguably the most dangerous team in Texas. Nope. We're going to SMU because they're in the ACC. It's a pipeline, bro. It's a UTSA. Nobody cares. Screw Dana Holgerson. We're going to SMU because it's a pipeline to the national championship in the ACC. Oh, my God. Free tickets to Cameron Indoor? Yeah, I'm not going to Texas to play football. I'm going to go see Duke basketball at SMU. Do you understand this isn't real life? SMU doesn't mean a thing.
So then why are they doing this?
Because I think they want to tell people how much money they have.
Uh-huh.
And, hey, UTSA, those little guys down there in San Antonio.
Hey, little guy.
They're not in Dallas County. We're in a P4. We're SMU. 4 horsemen, bitches.
I'm for real.
Like that's what I feel like SMU wants to do.
Yeah, maybe.
Tell me I'm wrong. Because I don't see SMU's profile just automatically shooting up. Well, oh man, that's really cool. We get to have lunch with Bubba Cunningham at North Carolina.
I'm so bricked up right now.
Do we get free Jordans, bro?
Powder blue.
What did this do for SMU? I understand it with Stanford and Cal. You're P5, you want to stay P5. Okay, totally cool. You've got money coming out your sphincter at Stanford. Okay, cool.
But see, that's the difference, isn't it? The only difference, and I say the only. But the major difference between SMU and Stanford is they were already a P5. It's Stanford, which on its own is a big deal. And they have one of the best athletic departments in the country that's universally respected.
Yep.
Those three things are major differences between Stanford and Cal. Between Stanford and SMU. So SMU fan rolling out here like, oh, we're the same as Stanford. We're pretty much the same. Stanford never wins anything, and Stanford's nothing. Well, that's not true. Dude, Stanford's one of the most prestigious universities in the country, and everybody knows it. And that's why you are not Stanford.
I agree. Brandon Butler says, rocking the cherry candy bucked up this morning. Cherry candy is my new favorite flavor. I'm telling you that right now. If you haven't got the cherry candy bucked up, you're missing out. Jeremy Bolton, excuse me. Mayor Bolton. Hey, you just used epidemiology, and Mrs. would be so proud. Stay hard.
Stay hard.
You're welcome. It's what I do, man. Here's the reality. This will blow up the ACC. Yeah, I agree. 100%. OG Gary, what's up, Gary? Big can get Notre Dame, UNC, Stanford, and Duke. But the issue is that the ACC is doing this so that they can remain a conference. Because they are going to negotiate an exit for Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. So they are adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. That's why they're doing it. So we'll see. I don't
So
know.
you're still losing. You're just losing at a slower rate.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Wooderburger. Yeah.
Wooderburger. Water ice.
B says, guys.
Guys.
Bryce Martin, what did I tell y'all yesterday about that 70-yard bomb? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Absolutely. No doubt. Jeremy Bolton says, Bishop Sycamore could have beat the Gators last night, but they didn't. Utah did.
Bishop Sycamore. Bishop Sycamore was on ESPN, bro.
That's wild.
How?
I don't know. OG Gary, imagine a fully healthy Utah. We would have smoked the Gator Nuggets. You would have. And
did anyone have Gator last night?
Stop. MJ Bissett, ACC getting what they paid for. When the conference blows up, SMU will be holding a bag that used to have their money in it, and it will be empty.
But now it will have a P4 token in it.
Which is cool. Isn't that like Bitcoin or Dogecoin? Doge to the moon, bro.
Oh, Doge to the moon, man.
Dale Donuts, that was mediocre football all around with all teams except UCF. ASU almost beaten by Southern Utah. Seriously.
Almost doesn't count.
There was not mediocre football by Utah last night.
No.
Utah's defense.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I'll sit here for the rest of my life. Every day that we do this show for the rest of my life. Don't you dare threaten me, sir. I'll do it. I will sit here every day and espouse about the greatness of Kyle Whittingham, who last night in the post-game interview with Amid Holly Rowe said, wow, we had our Thursday Night Football all to ourselves. Yeah, I don't know how many people realize we actually play football out here. My guy Whit taking his shot, and I love him for it because he's right. He's right. Last night, I know it sounds crazy. They've won the Pac-12 back-to-back years, gone to the Rose Bowl and shit. Totally
Nobody
get it.
cares.
Last night, Utah football arrived.
Yes.
Without their starting quarterback, without their best offensive player, Utah football arrived last night.
Yes.
Because they beat the hell out of Florida. Physically dominated Florida. They were faster than Florida. They were more physical than Florida. They were more prepared than Florida.
Yeah, the equipment penalty on Florida, that's a bad look.
How do you have 2 number 3s on the field? Basic math, dude.
Nice job.
Derek Myrie, SMU will win the ACC in 5 years. No chance. No chance. Not going to happen.
No.
T. Lawrence. What's up, T. Lawrence? Good to see you. Spectrum subscribers can't watch ESPN Disney. They're locked in a negotiation standoff.
Hey,
frustrating as hell.
Do you guys know what YouTube TV is? You ever heard of that?
I love it. Mrs. Monty and I were watching a 4-box last night.
Oh, yeah.
You're a sicko, sir. Get therapy. We're watching a 4-box last night with all the college football. I mean, it's awesome. We're at one point flipping around. Like I know it now, and I love it.
Yeah.
YouTube TV is amazing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love having it. Love it. Tarrant County, SMU boy. Bishop Sycamore will be making more money than SMU. Yes, they will. Marcus, what's up, Marcus Emmert? Good to see you. Nebby is back from last year. Could be. Tarrant County, row the boat. Exactly. Mayor McCluskey says Spectrum. Yes, Spectrum. Dale Donuts, I love YouTube streaming. God bless dedicated home fiber. Indeed.
Yeah.
Corey Erickson, followed your advice. Just ordered the Bucked bars for the first time.
Let's go.
Wife said yes to trying them for our weight loss journey. I love them. I have a full. It's all I do, you guys.
Yeah.
The Buck bars, and the thing I love about the Buck bars from Bucked Up, there's a link for a variety pack below. The thing I love about the Buck bars is they taste like candy bars, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate protein bars. Dude, I've tried so many protein bars, and I hate them all. The Buck bar actually is a protein bar I really like. And they use things like dates to sweeten them. I love it. Love it. Dale Donuts, what does SMU do if their donor money dries up from economic reasons and they get nothing from the ACC?
That's their problem to handle, dude. That's their problem. I can assure you it won't dry up. You don't make a move like this and have any type of risk of it drying up. And I think it's a reasonable question, certainly. I mean, if you're going to join a conference and be good with, no TV distribution for damn near a decade, I mean, yeah, it begs the question, hey, what happens if you run out of money? But again, dude, all jokes aside, they have oil money. They have big-time donors.
They have what?
All
money.
All money. In Tarrant County.
J.R. Ewing and shit.
Yeah.
J.C. Fresno State, not impressed with ASU at all. Tanner Plummer, even Witt acknowledges the fact that Utah has a weak brand.
I don't know that he acknowledged that. I think he acknowledged that people don't pay attention because they're a West Coast team in most people's eyes.
And nobody watches the Pac-12 network.
Yeah. And so, you have a situation where I agree. Witt's got to do more of that. I like him being brash. Tell him how it is, dude. Like, it's too often that I get, Nick Saban rants, but I don't hear from Kyle Whittingham. I'm tired. I am sick and tired of Kyle Whittingham not roasting the media.
I agree.
Make waves.
I agree.
Do it.
Giggity, I'm jumping on the Utah bandwagon. You should. You should. The Utes are a good brand of football to watch.
And I think we need to figure out, and obviously, last year in the Pac-12, but I think we really need to, the first time Cam and Brant Keithy play, you really got to, that's the game you got to watch, because that'll tell you just how serious they are about, being a top-end college football playoff team.
Mid Callaway McCluskey, Giggity, don't do it. Stop. Get some help. He lives
Y'all
in Arizona.
feel me?
Who else is he going to root for? Are you kidding me? Holly Rowe is not. Tarrant County SMU said.
Yeah,
she's not.
Okay.
She's not. OG Gary, we play football in this part of the country. That's when he dropped his brass balls on the table. Seriously. Mike C. Rodriguez. It's Friday. I have a little energy. Ella, love YouTube TV. Suck it, cable.
Facts.
Damn right. Tarrant County SMU boy. Says Multiview Monty. You ever stood on a mirror?
By the way, how's the new TV now that it's been like a month since you've had it or whatever it's been?
I got a 75-inch. Oh, you mean the TV? I got a 75-inch Amazon Fire TV. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love YouTube TV.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so easy to use now. I like that I can say, hey, Alexa, turn on HBO Max. And she'll turn on HBO Max. I love that I can say, hey, Alexa, turn on Hard Knocks. She'll turn on, hey, Alexa, turn on Emergency.
And he will every single time.
She turns on the show Emergency. Now, if Chicago PD were actually, filming because of the writer's strike, don't get me started on the TV shows I'm not watching. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating that there's a strike. Boss Frog, what's up, boss? Diego, TCU will never earn respect in college football. Their jersey does not say Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, or Clemson. Ooh.
Or Utah.
Ooh. Anymore, you have to take your respect.
Yeah.
You have to. There will be blood.
Yeah, I mean, look,
right?
I'm
That's
not even
the only way
joking.
to do it.
Dude, being dead serious, you have to go out, win games, and then talk a bunch of junk after you win the game. I mean, that's what you have to do to get attention nowadays.
Oh, my God.
Stay hard.
How about Pete Thamel from ESPN?
Wow.
NC State flipped on the ACC expansion. Thanks, Pete. That's great news. Wow.
Hey, look here, man.
Wow, who knew? Pete Thamel says it was 12-3. NC State flipped. You're welcome. All I can say is I already done told you that.
Yeah, dude.
You knew that.
I already knew that.
Yep. Lance Johnson, love YouTube TV. I ditched DirecTV and I get better TV and saved a ton. Saved a ton on ditching DirecTV. I love it. Absolutely. Marcus Emmert, love YouTube TV. I do they had more 4K content, but still the best streaming. I was never a big 4K guy. I don't know how important 4K sports viewing is.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's not a huge difference between 4K and 1080, but I think that, the quality of your TV definitely punches up 1080 quality.
4K golf, watching golf in 4K is different.
That hits different.
You can see the ball better. The grass is greener. You can, especially in close-ups when the ball is sitting on the green.
Yeah.
You can see which way the green roll. Like, it's wild. 4K has uses. Golf is one of them. OG Gary, we have amazing football matches coming up. Can't wait, but for now, it's on to Baylor. It is. How about Utah Baylor?
But you see what I mean? Like, that's a game where it's like, hey, okay, you beat Florida, and the haters of Utah are going to say, well, no Anthony Richardson, he moved on. Florida looks different. Like, okay, cool, whatever, fine, discount it. I'm not discounting anything. I think that was a quality win last night without Cam Rising and Brant Keithy. Offensive line was dominant for Utah. Like everything you want. Cole Bishop left the game a little early with cramping.
Yeah,
he
that
should be
was
fine.
Scary.
Yeah, he said he's going to be fine though.
Ooh.
Yeah, he'll be good.
That was scary.
But yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I didn't see last night was Jaquindon.
I was disappointed in that.
They didn't run at all.
He averaged 3 yards a carry. But I like Mekhi Bernard, but Jaquindon Jackson's your dude.
Yeah.
So there's some kinks to be worked out.
Yeah.
Joey B says 4K only great for watching the Masters. Cam Harrison. Cam, how are you? SD and HD is fine by me on sports. Most people don't get it.
SD can't do it. Can't do SD.
Can't do SD.
No.
4K is so nice on a big ass TV. I have 75 inches of power in the living room. And yeah. Mike Maples. Mapes, how are you? How soon does the announcement come that Washington State and Oregon State are joining the Mountain West? We'll see.
You would think soon. I don't know what we're waiting for at this point.
Our sources have told us that the Mountain West has already extended an invitation. We reported last week that Gloria Navarez knocked it out of the park when she presented to Oregon State and Washington State. Mike Oresco has had, the commissioner of the AAC, has had calls with both Oregon State and Washington State, wanted to present in person to them.
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure if that has happened or not.
But let's say Tuesday, everyone comes back from the holiday weekend. Dude, if Tuesday Kirk Schultz rolls out with, hey, we're still trying to save the Pac-12, would anyone really be that surprised? Like, you can't tell me Oregon State's going to go along with that. But if Kirk Schultz continues to push that narrative, I would not be surprised. I mean, if I'm Washington State and Oregon State, I'm going to the Mountain West, and it just is what it is, dude. It's how this is, and I know we've had our disagreements about this with Stanford, but this is the price you pay for not being a relevant brand athletically. And I love Oregon State. They're a 10-win football program that nobody talks about because there are other programs that outshine them. And that's just the reality of it.
Oh, comment on. Damn.
What happened?
Somebody was talking about how Holly Rowe took oxygen on TV last night.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, it was.
Right. That was.
She was talking about oxygen technology and helping players with elevation, and like it was kind of weird. Yeah.
Florida was using oxygen shots. There is a product that is a can of oxygen. It looks like a can of air freshener. You put it up to your mouth and you push the button, pull the trigger, and it shoots oxygen into your system.
Yeah.
And one of the major benefits of it is it expands your lungs. In Utah, because you're at elevation, Laramie, Texas Tech, it constricts your lungs. It's harder to breathe. When you take an oxygen shot, a pure oxygen shot, it'll expand your lungs. It expands your blood vessels, so your blood flows better. Like it just
you can perform better with more oxygen in your bloodstream.
If you take B12, like if you have a migraine headache and you take B12, it's going to open up your blood vessels.
I'm for real.
Oxygen does that, but at a much higher rate and much more quickly because it is directly into your system.
Yeah.
So it was weird that she did that on air. Yeah. That was awkward, in my opinion. Marcus Emmert there is a difference when you have a 120-inch projector. Projectors are the way to watch TV.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in it. Kaufman says, I have Fubo TV, can watch all sports I want anywhere. Well, Fubo TV has blackouts. Lee Jensen, Holly Rowe or Sarah Todd? Stop. Bullet.
Lee.
I have Fubo TV. It's awesome, Tanner says. Cool. Tarrant County SMU, boy.
Hug 'em.
Have YouTube TV, 2 different houses. Me too. Love it. I really like the multi-view.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV because you can watch 4 games at once. Why did the Pac-12 network not do a deal with YouTube TV?
I don't know.
They had it. Larry Scott all those years ago
allegedly
told us it was coming, and it never happened. Never happened. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show on a groundbreaking news day in college football, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, if you are unhappy in your job, if you are frustrated about having to go back into the office, if you are somebody that hates your boss, if you are somebody that is looking for a change, work for yourself. TryDayTrading.com. It has been so rewarding to have all of our listeners that have gone through the program come back and say, hey, this is awesome. It's what you said it was. It's not easy. It's going to school. I totally understand that. But it changes your life. If I said to you, give me $10, I'll show you your future, would you do it? Absolutely you would. That's what Tri-Day Trading's doing right now for Monty Show viewers and listeners. They have a 30-day trial membership for $10, which is a charitable donation. So it's a tax write-off for you. You give them $10 to Tri-Day Trading. They donate it. Excuse me. They donate it to charity. It's a tax write-off for you. You get their entire program for 30 days. You get all their high-level coaching. You get all their processes, their software. You get the whole kit and caboodle. And when you graduate the Tri-Day Trading program, they give you a funded trading account. You trade with their money, not your money. Stop dreaming about the vacations and the cars. Stop dreaming about a nicer house. Stop dreaming about better clothes and vacations. Get to work at TryDayTrading.com and live the life you've always dreamed of. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show.